Hey guys, sorry that this video is so late, but I just had to watch a whole bunch of movies from last year just to make sure this video was, you know, proper. But, you know, it doesn't matter that it's late anyway, as long as it's coming out, you know? I mean, I did this the last few years, so I might as well do it for this year as well. I mean last year. Whoops. So anyway, without further ado, here are my top 16 movies of the year 2016. Obviously 16 because 16, you know, 2016. But just letting you know, it's my opinion, and these are my personal favourite films from last year. Before I actually start the list, here are a few movies that didn't quite make the cut. Doctor Strange, Captain America Civil War, Hush, Suicide Squad, Hail Caesar, Jason Bourne, Star Trek Beyond. And here are a few movies that I didn't quite get the chance to see. X-Men Apocalypse, Kubo and the Two Strings, 10 Cloverfield Lane, Nocturnal Animals. And now, kicking off the list with number 16, Don't Breathe, from director Fede Alvarez. 3 criminals break into the house of a blind man in order to steal some stuff. And this blind man turns out to be way more capable than he seems. Played by Stephen Lang. It's a very good performance of playing a blind man, and the way that they show his enhanced senses in the film is great, and that night vision scene is intense. The whole movie's very intense and very well done for it's like a horror thriller, like not really a horror, not really, it's like in the middle, and it's very well done. I was on the edge of my seat the entire time. Number 15, The Conjuring 2. James Wan knows exactly how to make a modern day horror film, and this movie is no exception. All the scares are on point, the cinematography is incredible, and the performances from the main cast, including the little girl who is possessed, it's just all great, and I can't wait to see if he does make a third one. I will definitely be watching it, but I can't wait to see all the films that he makes in the future. James Wan is certainly the modern-day master of horror. Number 14, Your Name. Probably one of the most beautiful animated films I've ever seen. Just the art style of this film is incredible. Just the pure detail and the beauty of the way that it was drawn. It's definitely one of the most beautiful anime films, if not animated films in general, that I've ever seen. The story itself is very, very nice, and while I kind of expected the plot twist, it's still very well done in that it does catch you off guard and make you feel for the characters immensely. Number 13, Swiss Army Man. Probably the weirdest movie of 2016. Daniel Radcliffe has a terrific performance as a dead body, who helps Paul Dano as a stranded man get off of the island that he's stranded on with his magical farts. The movie is actually way deeper and more heartwarming than you'd expect from a movie about farts and more farts, and also dead bodies and boners. But it's a very, very funny and weird and off-kilter and heartwarming film, and I highly recommended it. Number 12, Green Room. This movie was very tense. I can't wait to see Jeremy Saulnier's future films. Anton Yelchin, rest in peace, his performance was incredible, and so was Sir Patrick Stewart's. For a more in-depth review, go check out my actual Green Room movie review. If YouTube decides that it doesn't want to do annotations, link is in the description below. Number 11 is a tie between 2 weird horror films, The Neon Demon and The Witch, also known as The Itch. Oh boy, this movie is just unrelenting in its brutal tension. It's incredible realism in that it's in its portrayal of the time period of New England, and the dialogue, the costumes, the set design. It's all incredibly accurate and makes the film even more realistic and therefore more tense in its unrelenting, constant feeling of dread. In its protagonists. I was definitely on the edge of my seat more so than I was in Green Room or Don't Breathe. Highly recommended if you like your tense and suspenseful horror films and you don't care about jump scares. definitely one of the best modern horror films of all time. That's an oxymoron. Why did I say that? The Neon Demon is the new film by Nicholas Winding Refn, the guy who did Drive and Only God Forgives. The Neon Demon is probably the most like Only God Forgives in relation to his previous filmography. It's nothing like Drive. It's a weird, surrealist horror film bathed in beautiful neon cinematography. The colours in this film are just gorgeous, and so is Ellie Fanning, and most of the other women in this movie. Hell, even Keanu Reeves. This movie just revels in its beauty, and it knows exactly what it is. And it's a weird, violent, gory, surrealist horror film, very slow-paced, which is why I've tied it with The Witch, a slow-paced, weird horror film with a female protagonist. So, yeah, that's why those two films are tied for the 11th place on this list. Also, The Neon Demon has a fantastic soundtrack. Number 10, The Handmaiden. This new film from Korean filmmaker Park Chan-wook is very, very beautiful, in both the cinematography and the emotion of the characters. I must warn, it has some very explicit sex scenes, but they never take away from the beauty of the film. And the strangely... it is also quite strange in that it's both very dramatic and very funny, but neither of those take away from each other. And the film as a whole, I would definitely watch it many times. It's beautiful, and I'm definitely going to check out more work from Park Chan-wook, who also did Old Boy, one of my favourite films of all time. So yeah, this movie gets a big recommendation from me. Number 9, Hunt for the Wilderpeople. Taika Waititi is definitely one of the best comedic directors of modern day, as judged by What We Do in the Shadows and his new film, Hunt for the Wilderpeople. This New Zealand film manages to be both funny and heartwarming without being, you know, really, really cheesy. It does everything really well. It's because of its realistic dialogue and very hilarious, you know, characters and situations, and I definitely highly recommend it. Definitely the funniest film of 2016, and probably one of the funniest films of the 2010s. Rhys Darby's cameo is just hysterical. Number 8, The Hateful Eight. I also did a film review of The Hateful Eight, which I went and saw in 70mm, the full roadshow experience, and it was incredible. Quentin Tarantino is definitely one of my favorite directors, and this movie is no exception. This movie was tense and dialogue heavy, but very entertaining throughout. And for more info, go check out my Hateful Eight movie review, because there's no point in going on an in-depth review here when I've already got that, so... Number 7, and this is probably one of the most divisive films of 2016, Batman v Superman: Dawn of Justice. I would put the Ultimate Edition on this list, not the theatrical cut. The Ultimate Edition is the true version of the film, and even though I do have a Batman v Superman movie review, and that was ages ago when I saw only saw the theatrical cut, but the extended edition adds way more plot to it. And if you had only judged the film based on the theatrical cut, I highly recommend you go and check out the Ultimate Edition, because it's probably one of the best superhero movies I've ever seen. I really liked Jesse Eisenberg's portrayal of Lex Luthor in this, in the Ultimate Edition. All of the plot points added to it are very good, and pretty much all of the points that I made in my theatrical cut review are valid, so you can go check that out for some insight as to what I like about the film, and also for a little sketch beforehand. It's a beautiful film in the way that it's shot, and I definitely am looking forward to all of the films of the DC universe coming out soon, especially Justice League. Ben Affleck's Batman is a brooding and cynical vigilante, and he brings so much emotion to his performance, and so does Henry Cavill as Superman, who is definitely my favourite Superman, and Ben Affleck is my favourite Batman so far. I mean, this universe is pretty much my favourite incarnation of the DC universe on film, so I'm gonna just go ahead and do number 6, Deadpool. Definitely the most entertaining superhero movie of 2016, mainly because it's a comedy, and it does everything perfect as a comedy. It's hilarious, it's gory, it's sweary, it's exactly what a Deadpool movie should be, and it's incredible. As a Deadpool fan, I loved the film, and I can't wait for the sequel. Definitely one of, if not the best comic book movie of 2016. I move in and out of Batman v Superman and Deadpool occasionally, so sometimes I like one more than the other. That's why they're both put so close together on this list. Number 5! The Revenant. And yes, I know that a lot of people think that this movie came out in 2015, but it came out in Australia in 2016. I watched it in February, so that's why it's on this list. Cinematography of this film was beautiful, as was the performance of Leonardo DiCaprio, and he definitely deserved that Oscar. Because this movie is brutal, it is fast-paced, it is slow-paced, it lingers on almost every shot, and it may feel quite boring to some people, but I absolutely loved it both times that I watched it, and I will watch it again. And it definitely deserves this high place on the list. The cinematography from Emmanuel Lubezki, I did just mention it, I'm mentioning it again because it is just gorgeous. He is one of the best working cinematographers of now, and Alejandro G. Iñárritu being the director, I probably butchered his name. Definitely one of my favourite directors of the modern era, and I definitely do need to check out the rest of his work. As with Denis Villeneuve, whose new film, Arrival, was definitely one of the best films on this list, and that's why it's number 4. Arrival brings sci-fi to a new level. It's definitely a very intellectual sci-fi movie, and the way that it is cut together is very interesting. And a lot of the shots in the movie make way more sense when you finish watching it. I highly recommend this movie for many people. To everyone who likes sci-fi, who likes intellectual films, who likes watching stories fold out as they go on. The special effects in this film are fantastic, and Amy Adams' performance is also fantastic. I definitely deserves that high spot on the list. Number 3, Rogue One, A Star Wars Story. Probably my third favourite Star Wars film, underneath A New Hope and Empire Strikes Back. I've been a Star Wars fan all my life, as you can probably tell by my Star Wars shirt here. And Rogue One was definitely a step in the right direction. It was better than The Force Awakens, and it was incredibly well done. All the performances were great, especially K2SO, the robot. The guy was just hilarious. But Mads Mikkelsen was just... I can't even describe. The special effects in this movie, both practical and digital, were all incredible. Especially the Star Destroyers and the recreations of dead or older actors in their younger selves. So, I thought it was incredibly well done, and if all the Star Wars movies were made this way, they'd all be great. Prequels. I hope more big budget sci-fi movies look like this. All the battle sequences in this film were just visually amazing, and I can't say too much more about it because otherwise I'll probably explode. Number 2, Moonlight. A very deep and contemplative film, separated into 3 sections or acts throughout 3 different parts of the main character Chiron's life, as a child, as a teenager, and as an adult. And it's incredibly emotional as a film, and very like affecting, and people will cry. It's a very beautiful film, both in the way that it's shot and in the way that it tackles its subject matter. It's definitely one of the best contenders for Best Picture. All the performances were incredible, especially Naomi Harris, who, wow, oh my god. But yeah, I felt like a part of me just like, I was taken away by this film, and that's why it's number 2 on the list, underneath just one film that I think was the absolute best film of 2016, La La Land. Obviously. La La Land was my favourite film from 2016. It is just it is just it is just a beautiful film. I'm not even a big fan of musicals, right? And its soundtrack, I've listened to it so many times, its soundtrack is just beautiful. Its cinematography was beautiful, its editing was beautiful, the performances were beautiful, everything about this film was beautiful. And I will watch it again and again. It's definitely one to watch over and over. I just loved every single bit about this film. It's a movie for people who like musicals. It's a movie for people who don't like musicals. It's a movie for people who like jazz. It's a movie for people who don't like jazz. It's a movie for people who like movies, who don't like movies, who like old films as well, especially. It's just a love letter to Hollywood and a love letter to the old musical films of the 50s and 60s. And it looks like one of those too. I actually thought the movie was set in the 60s before I watched it. It's actually set in modern day, if you didn't know that. And I highly recommend it to literally everyone who I will talk to. I will say, watch La La Land, it was great. And that is why it is one of my favorite, it is the best film of 2016, in my opinion. Now just letting you all know that, because, as with the rest of my top blah blah of blah blah lists, my opinion of these films will change over the course. Most of the movies on my previous lists are probably not how I would think of them now, and so this list may change. My opinions of the movies of this list may change in the future, so who knows. Read the description in case I've changed in my mind about any of these. But please tell me what your favourite movies of 2016 were. Did I leave some of your favourites out? Did I put some of your favourites in? Please leave a comment down in the description. Please leave a comment below, and I will see you all in the next video of whatever it is I make. Bye!